Planning for retirement is arguably the most crucial investment we can make. We have to make the sacrifices and smart choices now so that when we do reach our sunset years, we can do so with absolute peace of mind. But once we do reach retirement, the money management doesn't end there. Now here to take us through post-retirement money management is Jennifer Arendse, the head of marketing from Discovery Invest. Welcome to The Loft.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
Jennifer, these conversations are absolutely crucial, as I've just mentioned, and something that a lot of us tend to overlook. I mean, the concept of retirement is constantly changing. Why is that?
People are not realizing how much the concept of retirement have to change at this point in time. And I think that there's not enough awareness about what's ahead of us and what's changing. For most of human life, we would live in a two-stage life cycle where you mainly worked, you educated, if you were lucky enough to get an education, and you would work. Two-stage life cycle, and people didn't live long enough to actually go into retirement. Those days, right? And then for the past century, we've been in a three-stage life cycle where you would be educated, you would work, you would retire. We're still living in that. And there's a lot of research globally about it that we need to start thinking about the three-stage life cycle and whether that's still relevant. And perhaps we are entering now into a multi-stage life cycle. So imagine that. Have we started thinking about another life before retirement?
My goodness.
So, and I think it's something that might caught you unaware until you get there.
And you're like, wait, I've still got so much life ahead of me. What do I do now?
What do I do now? And then it's not just a money issue. The money issue is actually, there's an important issue because you want the money. You need the money to live. But how do you live another life in between retirement and the life you've just had?
How life looks like and the money needed is very, very important. So how important is managing your money post-retirement and those savings?
More important almost than before retirement, because you know what happens in retirement, and again, it's something we don't pay enough attention to, is we believe we're going to be healthy in our retirement, yet that's when your sick years start. And that's where you definitely need medical aid and all of those things, right? But even if you had medical aid, it's not enough to cover you 100% for all of those things. And you find that the biggest expenses for retirees are actually their medical expenses, because your chronic doesn't cover all of it most of the time. Then you have to pay in. People are not living healthily enough pre-retirement to have a healthy lifestyle or a healthy body in retirement, and then it catches up. So managing money becomes a tricky thing in retirement, and you have less, and you're living longer.
There are certain things that eat away at the budget, that eat away at the savings that people might not be aware of. Things like medical aid, hospital bills. What are some of the other things that people should now be paying attention to that can eat away at those savings?
Well, I think it's just, and it's very much what happens pre-retirement as well, is what you spend on. So you get into retirement and now you have grandchildren, and all you want to do is give them an extra little to go buy that extra little something. But you know, and it makes you feel good. But it's those little things that you'll have to have a look at, you know, how can I curb that? How can I bring that down? Do I have adult children in my home? Also another thing happening. So you have sandwich generation from the outside, but you have sandwich generation from the inside too. So you have adult children living in your home as well, and all of that eats away at your retirement savings. If you think about that lady in Clarksville, 128, right?
Yeah.
Legislation allows you to retire at any time, but some pension schemes force you to retire at 65. She has another whole life ahead of her. She had one.
Wow.
So imagine that, where you have to fund a whole life after you retire.
So then, in such situations, I have to find out, what are some of the options that people can start looking at to earn money?
Abolish the idea of a retirement date. I'm going to get to a 65, unless you're forced. You need to be able to sustain yourself after retirement. Not just financially, mentally as well, because you're still functioning, you're still active, you feel like you can contribute. So while you feel like that, find something that turns something into money. Like a hobby that you've had. You like baking? Sell it. You like flowers? Sell it, right? You've learned skills and experience in your professional life, you can consult. You can do freelancing. So there's a lot you can do if you have the willingness to keep on going.
Well said, absolutely well said, but now enters the big boys. How does Discovery reward this good behavior and help people cover that income gap?
So we recognize that people struggle to commit to certain behaviors. Sometimes we all need a little bit of a boost. We all need a bit of an incentive to get us there because the immediate needs always override your long-term needs, right? It's just human nature. So we recognize this. We say to people, if you can commit to withdrawing your money sustainably, right? Lowest possible income withdrawals from the money that you've saved for retirement, together with, living healthy for as long as you can, because then you get your health and medical bills, you get that done, right? We then reward you with up to 50% extra retirement income when you invest with us. So, obviously, you have to commit to the behaviors. And if we see those behaviors living through and you commit to the terms and conditions, you can get up to 50% extra retirement income to help you give the grandchildren that little bit extra that you really love to give.
Those 20 rands, those 100 rands. Oh, wow.
Exactly. And then you can, and you not feel guilty about it. You're not stealing from yourself to do something you love.
Absolutely. Well, Jennifer Arendse, thank you so much for sitting down with us and continuing the conversation that I think is so critical, so important, and is so now. Let's make sure that we definitely pat ourselves on the back when the time does come. Now invest in yourself by investing in your retirement. With Discovery Invest, you can get up to 50% more income in your retirement simply for living and managing your money well. To find out more, please do visit discovery.co.za.